These differentiation resources are available on Springboard Digital.
In previous grades, students begin to develop mathematical and algebraic thinking skills by writing expressions to represent relationships and use tables to represent relationships between quantities. This unit begins with an investigative activity where students build upon that prior knowledge by using tables, graphs, and expressions to explore both linear and nonlinear patterns and to make predictions within real-world situations. Students then use the properties of equality and inverse operations to solve equations in various forms, including those equations with no solution and infinite solutions. It is important to stress the meaning of the equal sign within the context of an equation, indicating balance. Students complete this activity by solving literal equations with connections to physics. This activity offers the opportunity for students to continue mastery of the high school algebra standards of solving and explaining the solutions of linear equations. This is also an important place to correct student misconceptions by teaching a mini-lesson or offering physical or digital manipulatives such as algebra tiles. After completing Embedded Assessment 1, students extend their knowledge of equality with work on inequalities. Students write and solve inequalities in various forms and graph their solutions on number lines. The graph of the solutions allows the students to explore and represent constraints. A mini-lesson may be included to help students verify their solutions to inequalities. Finally, students will work with compound inequalities. Unit 1 concludes with students working with and solving absolute value equations and inequalities. Students use and apply the definition of absolute value to represent situations, write equations and inequalities, and solve them algebraically. This work continues to build student proficiency in creating and using equations in one variable.
To aid your students with mastering the concepts in this unit, it is important to consistently utilize and emphasize math terms. It's essential for the teacher to model precise vocabulary use in discussions and expect students to do the same. The use of an interactive word wall and vocabulary notebook affords students multiple opportunities to develop vocabulary, which especially benefits English language learners. They may include definitions, examples, and visual representations of key terms that help to bridge the pictorial with the symbolic. It is also very important to incorporate the various Springboard strategies within this unit so that they become part of your classroom's daily instructional model. The use of student whiteboards or an interactive whiteboard and graphing tools will help students develop graphing skills and visual representations of equations and their graphs. This is the perfect opportunity for students to display and discuss their answers in a non-evaluative way. Also, the graphing calculator can be introduced as an extension or as a way for students to verify their answers. These are several ways to encourage students to check their work and verify their answers. Students can substantially benefit from this as an independent way to correct misconceptions about their graphs or to explore their solutions. Manipulatives such as algebra tiles and a graphing calculator can be used to help students who are struggling with solving equations. These tools are available on Springboard Digital at point of use for each problem. Take note of the differentiating instruction tips as well as the mini-lesson suggestions within the teacher wrap to help support your students. Also, utilizing the Getting Ready problems and practice as well as different aspects of mathematical modeling will provide additional instruction as necessary to help students develop prerequisite skills before beginning the unit. Finally, remember to read the teacher-to-teacher ideas that appear throughout your Teacher's Edition. These were written by Springboard teachers and provide an additional resource to support the implementation of your program. We encourage you to participate in the Springboard online community to collaborate with other educators across the nation. We hope these tips help to promote success in your Springboard classroom. Hi, I'm Marie Humphrey, Springboard teacher and national trainer. In this unit on equations and inequalities, students work to recognize and generalize patterns in a variety of ways, including words, tables, expressions, and graphs. Students will continue their development of
and science trivia. So viewing, entertainment, science trivia. 5 minutes for closing comments and 15 minutes to walk out. So the only time we really have to play with here is that 10 minutes viewing and entertainment. We've got a relay race. We've got somebody talking about, hey, look, where are you going to be in 25 years? Hashtag. We have somebody like doing that. I mean, maybe we can squeeze one more thing in there, but
maybe I didn't. Yeah, if that's 10 minutes, we probably can fill that 10 minutes. And so, who's doing the closing statement? Steve again?
It's got to be Steve. He's a building principal.
Okay. And so then maybe the school song is playing on the way out, or.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Great idea. And that gets them moving faster too.
Yeah, we've even got it listed right now. Students exiting the stadium with music and school spirit all around.
Okay.
Wonderful.
And then they're going back to their seventh hour.
Yes. Do we have a Bronco Billy yet this year?
Yep.
Okay, that could. All right.
Can Bronco Billy be doing stuff?
Yep.
You can.
Okay. We'll work out the specifics of that 10-minute time period, but I think we're okay
Doing
with
stuff?
volume content.
Algebraic
Right.
thinking skills by writing numeric and algebraic expressions to represent situations, using tables and graphs to examine relationships between two quantities, and exploring linear and nonlinear patterns within real-world situations. Students use the properties of equality and inverse operations to write, solve, and graph linear equations and inequalities in various forms, including those with no solution or infinitely many solutions. The unit concludes with absolute value equations and inequalities. Students apply the definition and write and solve an absolute value equation as two separate equations. Finally, a similar process is used to solve and graph absolute value inequalities. Throughout the unit, there are several opportunities for student and teacher-facilitated discussions, as well as ample opportunities to begin exposing students to springboard learning strategies. Additional guidance appears in the teacher's wrap to further support student-centered instruction. As a tool for monitoring progress, students should respond to the unit's essential questions, explaining how mathematical relationships are related to prior knowledge of patterns and then to equations and inequalities. Key math terms in this unit include sequence, common difference, expression, equation, compound inequality, conjunction, disjunction, and absolute value. This unit includes 2 embedded assessments. Embedded Assessment 1 focuses on patterns and equations. Embedded Assessment 2 builds upon student understanding of inequalities and absolute value. The prerequisite skills within the Getting Ready exercises encompass operations with fractions, mixed numbers, integers and decimals, understanding exponents, simplifying expressions, solving one-step equations, and the interpretation of Venn diagrams.